Hi everyone, welcome to this craft video. Today we're going to look at how we can overcome some crafting blocks. So, sometimes you run out of inspiration or ideas for what to put on your cards or what colour combinations to use. So I thought I'd share with you one of the ways that I tend to keep the inspiration going and have something to fall back on if I get stuck. So what I wanted to show you first of all was what got me going on this idea was I was making some cards and I got my inspiration for these cards from a magazine, and I really liked the way that they turned out. So that's the 6 cards that I made using the inspiration and ideas from the magazine. And some of them were very similar to the way the magazine did them, and some of them had my own spin on them, but I really liked the colour combination, the shapes, the textures, all of those things in this project. So what I did was I didn't want to lose that inspiration. So instead of, as I would normally do, kind of sorting out the scraps at the end and saying, okay, I'm going to keep this, throw that in my scrap paper box, I'm going to chuck this bit out or whatever, I decided to keep all of the supplies together. So if I move these aside, I'll show you what I did. So I picked up a whole packet of these Ziploc bags from Officeworks. You can get extra large ones as well, so you can fit the bigger papers if you've still got like bigger pieces of paper, but this size was perfect for this. And I just put everything left over from that card making session into this packet. Okay, so let's have a quick look at what is in here, because not everything that was on those cards will be in here, like embellishments and things like, you can see there I've got the baker's twine and the key there, and also the stickers didn't go in, but all of the papers and the colour combination stuff that was left over did go into that stash. So let's have a look at the stash then. So at the back there, we start with the stuff at the back. I've got all the scrap bits of cardboard that are left over, so all of the colours that I pulled out to do that paper making session are still there. And then also in part of this process, now I've used this pack a couple of times, I'm going to show you the next project I made with this pack, but you can see here I actually did paint some of the cardstock, I think it was that colour there, with gesso to try and change the texture a little bit. So you can see all of a sudden I've got 2 completely different cardstocks, but they're all in the same tone, and I did a similar thing with this coloured cardstock here, and I don't think that's the original colour. I may not have any left of the original colour, but you can see all of these colours kind of work together fairly well, and they're that similar pink and aqua and blue kind of tone. Now the other thing that I did was put together all of the papers that I have pulled out to use in this set. And they won't all necessarily go together, but at this stage, I've made some really nice cards out of these combinations. So this whole set here was one set that I got free in a magazine, and I was actually stuck on how to use this paper when I first got it and didn't use it for a long time, but once I started this process I found it easier to go back to these papers and use them again and again. So that's that paper set there. And then when I was looking for additional papers to add to it, I also found this paper set here. Now you can see some of these blues perhaps don't match as well, but there are definitely colours in here that kind of go with those combinations. So those whites and reds is a nice one as well. So I've kind of put this into there and can come back to that as well. And it doesn't mean that this has to stay on the original tangent. I may end up doing a lot of cards with more blue in it than the original set. What I've also got here is any of the other little bits of paper, for example. So these were just single pieces of paper that I pulled into the collection. Found a few little scraps of pretty paper. I really love this paper, but I only had the tiniest piece of it, so I've been very careful on how I used it. So you can see I did actually punch out a couple of love hearts with that one, and that's probably the main way that I've used it, or a few hexagons that I did in the initial project. But you can see any of the scraps that I've previously used. There's another one with a bit of gesso on it, and I cut some of these into strips and decided not to use them, so I've put them back in that project. perfect. And you can see here I cut out a few circles and things as well, a couple of leftover punched love hearts, and some ribbon that I thought kind of tied in with that colour. But that's just because it's a scrap of ribbon that I've put it in here. If I had like a roll that was suiting these coloured tones, I'd probably just put it back with my main ribbons, and I can always pull it back out again if I need to. So that's the idea, and then what I do is I just bundle that back up into that Ziploc bag, which I'll do later. I'll just push that to the side for now. And actually I might just leave it on camera so you can just see that on the edge. And so that's kind of my colour inspiration palette. Then what I might do is if I get stuck for what I want to make with cards, I'll pull this bag back out and start playing around with layering up the papers and things. And I did that after making my initial suite of projects. I actually did that and brought this bag out again and had another go at layering up the colours. And this is the set that I came up with. So you can see this time there is more blue in there, and I probably pulled in more blue from this set than I did of the previous, but you can see there's definitely some similar colours there as well. So I've pulled in some green, used different flower embellishments, used some chipboard, used a few different elements, but the same inspiration has helped me to do that same colour combination of the greens and the pinks and the blues, those kind of tones. And if I pull these other ones back in and you have a look at those, they are actually really different styles and designs to these ones here. They're a lot more distressed, they're a lot more vintage looking, completely different embellishments, shapes, all of those sorts of things are completely different to this one, but the inspiration has all come from this pack. So I will continue to add to this pack. So when I did this one, I added more papers and more cardstock colours into it, but you can see there's no big cardstock that I've pulled in. I haven't got big pieces of paper just sitting there going to waste. They are all just scraps. It means that it's probably more difficult to find some of those scraps for other projects if you decide to use it, but it's just a little inspiration pack, and I may decide to pull things out of this if I think it fits into another pack as well. So sometimes I will raid my packs to share with other ones. But yeah, I just think it's a great way to develop a little bit of inspiration and get a bit of those colour combinations that you really enjoy. But you can see they were used in two very different ways. So hopefully that gives you some ideas on what you can do with some of your scrap bits of leftover that usually end up all over our craft desk anyway, or just shoved in a box somewhere and we never come back to it. So this is also a great way to use up some of those leftover scraps as well. Thanks for watching.